So we're sitting here with one of New Jersey's prodigal sons, the boss, my friend, Bruce Springsteen. It's good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you also.
You and I have spent a lot of time talking about what it means to be a good man.
Our audience looked at us and saw the America that they wanted to believe in.
We come from such different places. It turns out there's a lot of overlap.
Renegades, Born in the USA, a new Spotify original podcast from Higher Ground. Listen free only on Spotify.
You might think President Barack Obama and music icon Bruce Springsteen are unlikely friends. But for more than a decade, the pair has built a relationship around their shared sensibilities and values. Now you can listen to their poignant conversations about fatherhood, race, marriage, music, and the country that's given them both so much. Click the banner to play Renegades, Born in the USA, a Spotify original podcast produced by Higher Ground Audio.
Presented by Comcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. We wrapped up last night talking about the Virgin Islands and Denise George's request to get access to the sealed documents in the Virginia Roberts and Ghislaine Maxwell defamation case. She petitioned Judge Preska in hopes that she can gain access to these files because she thinks that information in those files can help her move her case forward. Now, Preska still hasn't responded. We don't know one way or the other what is going to come of that, but we will definitely stay on top of it. As for today, we're going to cruise across the pond and we're going to check in on the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, and we're going to see how and why this guy still has all of his honorifics. Why does he have his titles? Why does he still have his royal protection? And why are the taxpayers still on the hook for giving him money? Our article today is from the Express. The headline, Prince Andrew shock claim. Duke should be stripped of royal honors and protection. The author of this article is Kate Nicholson. And I'd most certainly agree with the headline here. This guy should be stripped of all of his honors, his protection, and most certainly any funds that are coming from the taxpayers. Now listen, this guy has not been convicted in a court of law, right? That's not the issue here. The issue is he refuses to speak to the FBI. He refuses to help the investigation, and in turn has dishonored himself every which way you can imagine. And the reason he does not want to speak with the FBI is because he understands the peril that he is in. He does not have the truth on his side, folks. This is a man who thought using a pizza party for his daughter was a quality alibi, when other people, numerous people at this point, put him at tramp that night with Virginia. And yet this guy still thinks that he should have all of his titles, all of his honors, all of the money from the British taxpayers. It's obscene. There is no way in hell that this man should be a representative of the English people or of the monarchy. Strip him of all of his titles, all of his honors, all of his money, until he does the right thing. Prince Andrew should be stripped of his palace honors and protection, just like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Now he is no longer a working royal, a commentator has claimed. Well, look, again, as everybody knows who's listening to this podcast, I am not some sort of royal historian. I don't know much about the monarchy besides what I've learned in my research of this case. And obviously, historically speaking, I understand the basic premise of the monarchy in England, right? But as far as like the ins and the outs, the nuts and the bolts, a working royal, I didn't even know what the hell that was, to be honest with you, until I started researching this case. I figured they were all working royals, right? If you're royalty, I'm sure you have some sort of duty. I guess there might be some non-working royals, right? Dudes that just sit around, collect some dough, drink some wine, and dick off. I guess that's the case. But I never even knew what a working royal was. And I guess it's somebody that goes around and, does whatever duties the crown has for them, be it moving the family's image forward or working a charity or showing up at a disaster site, whatever it may be. I guess that is what a working royal is. For me, work has a whole different tone to it, okay? Work means, waking up 6 a.m, getting dressed, going to some corporate office, getting hammered by your boss and your employees if you're middle management, going home, crying all night because you hate your life, back to sleep, rinse and repeat over and over and over again for 40-something years. That's work. What these people are doing, that's not work to me, all right? You're out hobnobbing, you're schmoozing, you're hanging out with gun runners and Jeffrey Epsteins. Andrew announced his decision to step back from his public duties back in November, just days after his car crash, Hindenburg level, interview with BBC Newsnight. He didn't step back. Old boy got grounded by Mummy. All right, it wasn't his choice. What do you think Andrew was just like, he had enough sense, enough self-awareness to be like, yeah, it's probably a good idea if I extricate myself from all of this, take a step back, and sit my princely ass down in the back of the classroom. You really think he had that kind of self-awareness? Of course not. He had to probably be bodily dragged before the Queen so she could tell him that he was grounded. The Duke of York, aka the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, had answered a range of questions on his association with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender who was arrested last year on charges of sexual abuse towards young women and girls. Again, I get it, right? That's what they want to say, his association with Jeffrey Epstein. It doesn't seem as monstrous, but let's call it for what it is, okay? He is being credibly accused of partaking in the actual abuse of at least Virginia. So let's call it what it is. Let's not pussyfoot around and say, his associations, because you can live if you have those sort of associations, right? You're not going to be completely and utterly destroyed if you just had an association with Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, you're going to be called onto the carpet. The light is going to be shined on you. That's just part of the process when you're hanging out with a prolific sex child offender. But if you were just an associate of Epstein, if you were just an enabler of Epstein, you would not be getting the double barrel that you are. Andrew was not just an enabler. He is somebody who is credibly accused of abuse. He killed himself in jail last year before his trial could begin, allegedly. U.S. authorities are still investigating Epstein's alleged international sex trafficking ring and arrested his alleged madam, co-conspirator, fellow child molester, general all-around scumbag, and bipedal serpent, Ghislaine Maxwell, who has a well-known friendship with Andrew last month. That's an understatement, a well-known friendship. How about a decades-long run of loyal friendship, of being so close that Ghislaine Maxwell basically had run of Buckingham Palace and could just come and go as she pleased. So close that they had a picnic a stone's throw away from the window of the Queen. Her arrest has renewed public interest in Andrew and his association with both Epstein and Miss Maxwell, and U.S. authorities have even asked the royal to assist with their investigation as a witness. The article kind of downplays it here, right? Her arrest has renewed public interest in Andrew. What? Interest was already there. Interest was high. There were articles coming out every single day, basically. What it has done has really put his feet over the fire now. Whereas it was just a group of people who were interested in this case, a large group, mind you, but now the general public is interested. Now the general public is asking questions. And when the general public starts getting interested in what's going on, especially during the 24-hour news cycle where most stories are dumped, then you know, as a royal or a rich person or somebody who's caught up in this, you know that the stakes are most certainly about to get higher. Andrew's legal team say they have offered to help out on at least 3 separate occasions while the FBI argues against that claim. And remember, this comes down to semantics, right? I'm sure Andrew and his team have offered to speak to the FBI, but not in person, not where they can be questioned and their answers can be challenged, etc., etc. They want to give a written statement. They want to really be able to keep the prince out of jeopardy of perjury here. And the investigators, well, their job is to set them up to walk right into something. Still, Andrew has been on the receiving end of a stream of allegations too from Virginia Roberts. She claims she was trafficked by Epstein and Miss Maxwell, and when she was just 17 years old, the pair pushed her to have sex with Prince Andrew on 3 separate occasions in 2011. And remember, this is the crux of it for me. This is the deal breaker. This is the punch in the gut. This is where Andrew really gets himself in big trouble. He could have survived his relationship with Epstein, folks. He would have been able to weasel his way out of that. But not this. This is a step too far. This is the sort of thing that you cannot weasel your way out of. This is the sort of thing that you must answer for. Andrew and Buckingham Palace have denied the claims. The royal told BBC Newsnight that he had no recollection of ever meeting this lady. Yeah, the picture means nothing, right? That picture is just no big deal. You know, he never met her. He doesn't remember meeting her. It wasn't like that picture was taken at some event for the royals, right? That was a very intimate setting at Ghislaine Maxwell's townhouse in Belgravia. Maxwell, Virginia, Andrew in the picture with the monster Epstein taking it. What do you think they were all doing back at Maxwell's Belgravia townhouse after leaving the club, after plying themselves with some booze? What do you think they were going back there to sit down with Virginia and have a talk about her future, about how they could really help her? Because that is not what occurred. I won't get into the sordid details about what occurred that night. We all know them. But the fact of the matter is this. This man says he doesn't even have a recollection of meeting her. We know that's a lie. And if he's lying about that, what else is he lying about? The fact is, a man in an intimate environment like that, with just Ghislaine, Jeffrey, and Virginia, is not going to tell me that he has no recollection of even meeting her. Okay? I am sorry. I am not buying that. I highly doubt the investigators are buying it, and I know for a fact jurors are not going to buy it. In an official statement, the palace said it is emphatically denied that the Duke of York had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Roberts. Any claim to the contrary is false and without foundation. Wait a minute. So is it just sexual relations he didn't have with her? Or did he not meet her at all? I'm confused. Right here in the statement that was made by Buckingham Palace and the statement made by Andrew himself is conflicting. And we see this over and over and over when we read these articles, right? We see how many times that these people and their stories don't jive. Although Andrew has shunned the limelight since last November, he has still met some criticism. So, because he shuns the limelight, he shouldn't be criticized? And he hasn't shunned the limelight has shunned him. Royal commentator Nigel Cawthorne, author of the 2020 book Prince Andrew, Epstein and the Palace, recently questioned why the Duke of York still had access to the sovereign grant and his HRH status. I agree with that. This dude should have no titles, okay? Take them all away. He's not a working royal anymore. If old boy who married the American girl, Harry or whatever his name is, isn't getting his dough anymore, isn't getting his loot anymore, doesn't have his titles anymore, why should Andrew? All Harry did was leave the country. Andrew's out here molesting children, abusing girls who were sexually trafficked. And this dude gets all of his honors and he's still getting his allowance? How is that okay? Speaking on AirPod with the Omid Scobie earlier this week, Mr. Cawthorne said, "What surprises me is that Harry and Meghan say they're going to have a private life. So they're going to drop the HRH, and they're not going to take any more money from the privy purse, from the long-suffering British taxpayers." For sure. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, man. And I'm sure that it's the same for my friends over there in England. Nobody has any money to be spending on dumb shit right now. People are hurting. People need help. And Prince Andrew is still drawing an allowance from the privy purse, from the people of England? It is grotesque, folks. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex announced their intention to go financially independent earlier this year when they stepped back from life as working royals. They also lost the use of their HRH titles during their Megxit negotiations with the palace and have promised to pay back the taxpayers' fund for the £2.4 million spent renovating Frogmore Cottage. So, Meghan Markle and Harry are going to pay back the monies that were spent from the taxpayers on their residence, because they're no longer working royals. But Prince Andrew, on the other hand, this dude ain't doing shit, sitting around playing video games or whatever all day, whatever it is disgraced princes do. And he's still getting dough. He's still showing up at mommy's room on Mondays with his hand out for his allowance. The Queen should make this dude do chores. He should be out there mucking the stables, cleaning the dinner table off. He should serve the servants, the whole flip. Mr. Cawthorne continued, Prince Andrew hasn't. He still uses his titles. He still gets money from the Queen, which indirectly comes from us. He added, he's not fulfilling any royal duties at all. Why shouldn't he be treated the same as Harry and Meghan? I agree with that, right? I'm not, again, I don't know the details of the inner struggles of the royal family, but what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If Meghan and Harry aren't getting their titles, and they're not getting any money, and their only problem is, the only thing that they've done wrong is that they've left the country and they decided to move to America or Canada or whatever, then how in the hell can you justify Andrew still drawing a stipend? Andrew signed off his last public statement announcing he was stepping back with His Royal Highness the Duke of York. Yet just a handful of months later, Harry and Meghan gave up the use of their HRH titles as they were no longer working to represent the Queen. So, how can they justify this? How can the Queen or the royal family or their handlers or anybody justify this? The people of England deserve better. The people of England do not want to pay for this man. Of that much I am sure. The couple will also be paying for their staggering security costs in the U.S. through Prince Charles, rather than using any royal expenditure. And look, again, I don't know much about Harry and Meghan Markle and all of the inner politics that surround them. But what I will say is this. I respect people that are willing to leave a situation such as being royalty and try and make it on their own. That stirs something within me. I like self-made people. I like people who have started at the bottom and built themselves up and get themselves to a place of success. Obviously, Meghan Markle and this prince dude are not starting at the bottom, but I think it's a courageous thing to do, and I kind of respect that sort of hustle. Being able to tell the queen and the royal family to get stuffed, we're going to do it on our own. You know, like old Blue Eyes said, I did it my way. The Home Office reportedly recommended downgrading Andrew's 300-pound-a-year armed guard after he stepped down back in January. Sources told the Evening Standard that bosses cannot write a blank check for anyone who does not have a public role in the foreseeable future. Makes a lot of sense, right? If he's not a working royal, then strip him of his guards. If the queen wants to pay for him to get a private security guard or something, then I guess whatever. But I know that if I was a taxpayer in England, I would be going crazy over this. This would make me mental. However, it is not known whether Andrew still uses any protection officers. Back on the podcast, Mr. Scobie asked, do you think that it is a concerted effort from the palace to provide a layer of protection, or is it that just comes with being the son of the current reigning monarch, regardless of who or what he has been involved with? Mr. Cawthorn replied, he is the Queen's favorite. Obviously, she has a great deal of influence in this situation. And it's true. At the end of the day, she's the Queen. If she wanted to put him in London Tower or whatever the hell they do to their royals, then hey, that's their business, right? But the Queen Mother and Andrew obviously have a very special relationship, and she's doing everything in her power to keep him from being completely disgraced, I guess you would say at this point, in hopes that she can insert him back into royal life at some point. I mean, you got to think as a mother, you want to think the best of your son, right? You want to think that the allegations brought against him are not true, that there's no way that it could occur. But in reality, you know, she has to understand that her son, Prince Andrew, is not the honorable man he says he is. He is not the good guy he portrays himself to be. And all you have to do is take a look at his associations and the people he ran with and the people that he broke bread with. And you'll start to get a better picture of the person Andrew truly is. But it's difficult. If they did make an announcement that he was dropping HRH and was taking no more of the taxpayers' money, then it just focuses the attention back on him. He claimed that the palace may have learnt from his BBC Newsnight interview that it's best not to draw attention to it. Andrew's PR team declined to comment on the royals' titles. Yeah, you should expect to see a lot of that in the coming weeks and months in future. No comment, because at this point it does them no good. What could they possibly gain from commenting about any of that? Nothing. So they're going to keep quiet, they're going to keep grinding behind the scenes, and of course, folks, we know what they're doing. They're not looking to vindicate their clients. They're simply looking for loopholes to help them wiggle off of the hook. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great Wednesday. I'll be back later on.
Social justice. It's the effect of systemic progress. It's not about this moment, it's about every moment. It's not about immediate change, it's about constant momentum. Saybrook University has been doing the work since 1971, educating inquisitive, informed, and inspired leaders to change the world for the better. Learn more at saybrook.edu.
You might think President Barack Obama and music icon Bruce Springsteen are unlikely friends. But for more than a decade, the pair has built a relationship around their shared sensibilities and values. Now you can listen to their poignant conversations about fatherhood, race, marriage, music, and the country that's given them both so much. Click the banner to play Renegades, Born in the USA, a Spotify original podcast produced by Higher Ground Audio.
Presented by Dollar Shave Club.